Shalom, shalom, shalom. Let's clap it up. Shalom, Israel. We are the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohana. And since 1969, we have been teaching the truth of the Bible. And what's that truth? That truth is that Blacks, Latinos, Native Indians, you are God's chosen people. When they read in that Bible, they're reading stories about us. They're reading our family history. All the stories, all the things you've heard about that book that's inspired everybody all over the world. That was our book. That's our book. That's our family records that were stolen from us. We are the biblical Jews that they speak of. Yahweh Shema Latham Bashim Yahweh Shah to the sisters. Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah Brakatah to the brothers. This is tonight's Brotherhood class. And our topic for tonight is never trust thine enemy. Never trust thine enemy. It's a lot of lot of traps, a lot of tricks, a lot of ways they set us up. They played us over the years. A lot of things could be avoided, even though we are in captivity, if we just knew who our enemies were, if we just knew what steps to take, what steps not to take, what laws to break. What laws not to break, what to do and what not to do. We don't know that because, again, we don't follow the law, statutes, and commandments that's inside that Bible. Our leaders that were supposed to teach us, everybody who steps up and say that they are a man of God, if they are not from the ISUPK, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, they were not called by God. Just like if you wanted to be a doctor, and you picked up a medical book, a medical journal, and you started reading this book and you read it from cover to cover, it still wouldn't certify you to do open heart surgery on nobody. You would be hard pressed to be successful in that field just because you picked up that book and you read that book. And it's the same thing with this Bible. With this Bible that we have, you need to be taught. You need to be taught the correct way. And Christianity and religion and Islam and all your different religions, it's a lot of holes in all your religions. It's a lot of different holes, contradictions, all because it's people attempting to explain it who don't have the proper understanding of it, because the Most High didn't give it to them. The Most High did give that truth, this word, back to the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge back in 1969. And we've been teaching that truth since then. Unfortunately, we go any and everywhere else to learn about the truth of the Bible or about the Bible, period. Our people are terrible as far as everything that comes out of our mouth is God this, God that, Lord this, Lord that. Help me, Jesus. Thank you, please. All these different sayings and quips and things that we have, and we don't know what the hell we be talking about. And we are terrible when it comes to that. You can ask any one of our elder woman, and they'll tell you, well, baby God this and baby God that, and all you got to do is pray. And they tell you all of these things, and again, without the actual knowledge of what they're talking about, and it's detrimental to us, and it's destroyed us as a result. As a result, we feel like we can do and say anything, and God is going to be on our side. All I got to do is pray about it, and God is going to be on my side. I can eat whatever I want, and God is going to be on my side. I can say and do whatever I want, and God is going to be on my side. And it's just not like that. The Bible doesn't say that. The Bible's never said that. If you are in the class, if this is your first time here in the class, make sure you put your city, name, state inside the comment section so that you get credit for being in class tonight. We are all over the place. We are all over the world. We have classes all throughout the week. 7 to 9. You can always catch your local city or state where you at as far as attending class, going to class and learning about this Bible. If you have any questions whatsoever, again, throw them in the chat. Um, the biggest difference you're gonna find between the Israelite School and Universal Practical Knowledge and your church, your mosque, your imam, is if we say it, we prove it. If we say it, we prove it. Um, we don't speak from our heart. We don't speak from what we feel or what we think. We speak. The Bible says, if a man speaks, let him speak with as oracles of God. So we speak according to what this word says. We speak according to what the Bible actually says. If it's and we speak in unison. Um, you can go to 10 different churches and get 10 different lessons on the same subject. They have queer churches now. They got churches where they worship the queer Christ and the queer God and all this other mess this nonsense that's not in the Bible. They have made a mockery and a joke of God. Nobody takes God serious. And as a result, again, we suffer for it. So again, our tonight is our brotherhood class. We always start our brotherhood class the same way. And so we'll get started. Brotherhood, a brotherhood class. Brotherhood is synonymous with what? What is synonymous with brotherhood? We lack consideration for one another. We don't trust each other. The title of the class tonight is Never Trust Thine Enemy. Unfortunately, for a lot of us, we're going to think that's one of our own brothers and sisters. We identify that enemy as being, again, one of us and not the actual enemy that we all have. That church, this place have taught us to be great individuals. We're good at being, and I won't even say good at it, but they've taught us to be individuals. Think about being an individual. That doesn't work for a nation. It doesn't work for a family. We are one big family. We are one big nation. Those 12 tribes, that make up the house of Israel, that make up our nation. Those were 12 brothers. 12 brothers. Black, Latino, Native Indian. 12 brothers that comprise, and they came together to make us. We are one big family. And unfortunately, we don't operate like a family. And if you in any family, in any nation, in any set, if you don't operate together, you end up operating against each other. You end up hurting each other, and we suffer from that tremendously. I mean, that's what we do. If I got it, I'm good. You got to get yours. The oppressor plays off of that. The oppressor knows that, so he uses that against us. He'll give one or two of us a couple of trinkets, a little money, so we can look down on our other brother that's right there next to us. He'll do that all day long, because as long as we're not coming together, in Zephaniah 2:1, the Bible says, "Gather yourselves together, O nation undesired." We are the only race of people that's undesired. No matter what we go, what we do, what we contribute, nobody wants us. Nobody wants to save us. Everybody pretends to be us. Everybody pretends and acts like they're us, but nobody wants to be us. Actually, help us save. Nobody wants us. Everybody hates us, and we don't understand that. We beg for the affection and the attention and the love of a nation that would never, ever, ever help us. We beg for the affection and attention of other nations. We worship their gods. We celebrate their holidays. We do everything in accordance to these other nations, and they still reject us, and we don't understand that. What's going on? Officer Mataz Akara. We don't understand. We don't get that when we really need to be coming together. We really need to be coming together. We really need to get that admiration, that support, that love. That should be reserved for each other. But unfortunately, it's reserved, or we give it away to everybody else who don't deserve it, who don't need it. Think about it. Who needs to be saved? That old lie that church tells, as far as I'm saved and I'm sanctified. To be saved is to be removed from danger. You can look all throughout our neighborhoods, all throughout our communities, and they're dangerous. We still here in America, and that's dangerous. If we were quote unquote free, why are we still here? How could we possibly be saved? These are the empty sayings and things they've taught us over time that have corrupted the way that we think, corrupted the way that we process things, corrupted the way that we treat one another, and corrupted the way that we respond to trauma, we respond to stimuli and so forth. We really um, um, are at a disadvantage to even again identify our enemy, know who our enemy is, even how to handle our enemy. And it all stems from us not adhering to these words that's inside this Bible. Yahweh Shem Yashar Barakatah, to Troop Kazaki, Yahweh Shem Adathan Shem Yahweh Shai, to Miss Coco. How y'all doing tonight? So again, tonight's class is never trust thine enemy. Never trust thine enemy. I already asked the question. I don't think y'all were in here as of yet. But brotherhood is synonymous with what? We always try to start off the same way and be repetitive when we're learning this word, because again, we had a long time to be taught the wrong way. We had a long time to be taught the wrong things. So it takes repetition. The Bible says to study to show thyself approved. So we study to show ourselves approved. We study so we'll have the weapons we need to battle this oppressor, to battle this place, to do what the Lord called us to do. And bear with me tonight. Hopefully everything is good with my connection. And it's this hotel I'm in, it doesn't have the best connection. So I was a little bit worried about that. And I see the answers are coming in though. Trooper Kazaki, give him a hand. He says sisterhood. Officer Mutazar Kara says sisterhood. Miss Coco says sisterhood. And again, brotherhood and sisterhood are synonymous with one another. You can put those. Our brotherhood is just as strong or as important as our sisterhood. Unfortunately, those roles have been kind of changed and swapped around again because of this oppressor, this filthy bastard, this oppressor that we are under. Stole our record, so he knows the Lord had everything set up in a particular, a certain order. It's the Most High, it's Christ, it's the man, it's the woman, and it's the child. They have tricked, fooled, manipulated, and ran a game on us to the but we don't think that we need each other. Our sisters are the only species on the planet that feel like they don't need the brothers. Our brothers feel like we can just run through sisters and it's of no consequence of how it's going to play out in the community, how it's going to play out with each other, how we treat one another, with our children and so forth. We have been totally disconnected and separated. And the oppressor, the other nations, they play off of that. They play off of that, and they benefit from that greatly. Yahweh Shem Yashar Barakatah, Officer Urash and Officer Urash Hamath in the building tonight. So again, brotherhood and sisterhood are synonymous with one another. Brotherhood and sisterhood, if you were to have one word for them, what are they? What's synonymous with brotherhood and sisterhood? And for the troopers out there, if you could, my officer out there, if you could give me that precept as well. We'll go ahead and we'll knock that out and we'll pull that up. Again, it's very important that we go through the same steps when we study, when we learn, when we come together in class. Like I said before earlier, you go to 5-10 different churches, no matter what you go to 5-10 different churches, it can be the same subject. You're gonna get 5 or 10 different lessons on that same subject. They got queer churches now. They worship a queer God. You got just all different kinds of nonsense that they've used, and they've took our records and manipulated them to themselves, and then it's made a total mockery of God. But what you're gonna find and what you're gonna learn here in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, you're gonna find that everything's gonna be uniform. Just like this Mitri I got on, Officer Urash, of my trying to look the part like everybody else. You be rocking those Mitris out there. I had to try to get that witch. So hopefully it's wrapped up right. It's a little work to wrap these up. It's a little work to wrap these up. But again, we are uniform here in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. So the water, Officer Yerashima. Officer Matazar Kara put love. Love is synonymous with brotherhood and sisterhood, and brotherhood and sisterhood are both love, and we get that precept. We know that from 1 John 5:3. Again, it's not about how we feel about it. It's not about what we think about it. I can make my own definition for anything, but that doesn't make it accurate. That doesn't make it true. So we've been going our whole lives thinking we know what love is, making our own definition, our own versions of love. And it's destroyed us as a people. And if we would just go back to the actual definition of it, we think love is an emotion. We've been taught that love is a feeling, it's how you feel. None of those things makes any sense. Love is an action, and you learn what that action is, and right in the precept that Officer Mutaz Akara gave, and give Trooper Kazaki a hand as well. Let's go ahead and get this precept up though. First, John 5:3. Let's go ahead and pull it up and take a look at that. Let's go ahead and pull it up. Take a look at that. All right, we got CR Colorado. Okay, I got you. Make sure you put your name in there as well. Brother. Yep. Make sure you put your name in there as well so we can get your name, your city, and your state. Make sure you get credit for being in class tonight. So let's go ahead and pull that precept. Let's share this. So again, we spent our whole lives thinking that we knew what love was. Your mother say that she love you. Your brother say that they love you. Your grandmother say that she loves you, and they were taught from people that taught them that thought they knew what love was, and they were taught if you trace that line far enough back, you're gonna get to that oppressor who taught and gave us our idea of what gave us our idea of what love was, gave us our idea of what God was. They took our records, stole our records, repackaged them, and then told us that this is God. They gave us a Caucasian version of Christ. But when you read that Bible, you'll find out that Christ was a jet black nigga. He was black like us. He come from that tribe of Judah. Nigga is in the Bible. They took everything, repackaged it, and gave it back to us. And they gave us I won't even say a watered down version. It was a corrupted and manipulated version. It wasn't that they went in there and rechanged the words in it, because if you read that Bible first, then if you read it, you get the proper understanding, you will learn that Bible condemns the quote unquote, the oppressor, the Caucasian, the white man. It condemns them. It condemns all the other nation. God has one chosen people that he loves, and that's Israelites. That's blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians. So if they were to go in there and change those words, those would have been the first thing that they took out. You can watch any movie, The Last Samurai, and Esau, which is the biblical identity of our oppressor. He's gonna be the last samurai. He's gonna be the last samurai. He's gonna be in any movie, any hero it is, he's gonna take that role, take that part. I watched a movie some years back called Gods of Egypt. Now, we're not from Egypt. That was one of our first slave masters. Egyptians are Africans. They lied and told us that we were African American. Those are two different continents, two different nations, and neither one of them are us. Africans rounded us up and sold us to the white man. And the Arabs over there helped them. They built the boats, built the ships, as far as establishing that transatlantic slave trade. Prior to that, it was the sub-Saharan slave trade. We have been slaves to everybody in every nation. If you ask anybody else who they are, they can give you an identity of what they're going to tell you what my great grandfather was, and my great grandmother comes from here. If you're speaking to a real African, they're going to say, well, I'm from Ghana, I'm from Nigeria. They're going to give you an actual location, a name, maybe a tribe, speak with a couple of clicks when they talk. We are not them. That was our first slave master. We learned Islam. We learned Islam and the mosque and Allah and all that mess from slavery by the sword. Same way how we learned Christianity from slavery over here. They've always taken our God. They've always manipulated. We've always been hard-headed and not understood the importance of the law, statutes, and commandments that the Lord gave us. And as a result, everybody took advantage of that. Yahweh Shemalathan Basham Yahweh Shah to Sister Ra'aya. I think I said it right tonight. And let's go ahead and get that precept. So 1 John 5:3, again, that Bible is very, very specific. It's very specific. There's a definition for love. It's not what you think. It's not how you feel. And unfortunately, if you don't know the definition of love, it's impossible for you to do it. You can say you love all day long. You can pay lip service to love, and I love this and I love that, but we cannot love one another And we definitely cannot love God if we don't know the definition of it and do it the way that he says to do it. And so we read 1 John 5:3. It says, "For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous." When it's talking about those commandments, those are the laws, statutes, and commandments that's in the Bible. White man made a movie called it the 10 Commandments, and everybody thought it's just 10 commandments that you got to follow. And that's it. And they don't even follow those 10. They can't even follow those 10, but it's more than just 10 commandments in that Bible. It's about 600 some odd commandments, laws, and statutes that we have inside the Bible that we're supposed to follow. And if we follow those, then we love God. If we follow those, well, then I love my brother and I love my sister. It's automatic. I'm gonna love my brother and my sister by following those laws. Since we got a couple people in the class that may be a little new, who can tell me what one or two of the laws are? Who give me a couple of laws? Give me some of the laws that we're supposed to follow. That's not inside that 10. To kind of prove and show how you can kind of prove and show that it's more than just that 10 commandments that they're talking about. Who can give me some of the laws that we're supposed to follow? Because you can go to that church all day long. You can go to that church all day long. You can go there every day, and you will never learn that it's actually rules that you're supposed to follow. You'll never learn what the Lord requires of you. All our neighborhoods are riddled with crime, with drugs, with rape, with you name it, and it's there. If a lot of us, we don't want to walk out of our own doors in our own neighborhoods. Yet and still, we'll go to that church, we'll walk out, we get a feel good message, and we'll walk out and say it's all good, God is good all the time, even though when you look around you, nothing is good. Nothing is good when you look around you. It's because we don't know what this book is saying. We don't know what this Bible is saying. The Lord said he would bless us if we did what he said to do. The Lord also said that he would punish us, and we would be judged if we didn't. Yahweh Shema, shout out to my rib. And you got a couple laws in there. Let's look at them. Sister Ra'aya says dietary law. My rib also said not eating pork or shellfish, and that's correct. That dietary law is very important. We suffer from all kinds of diseases, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and so forth. And we wonder why. That preacher, that line pastor done told us that if you just pray over your food, it'll be okay. If you just pray over your food, it'll be all right. Well, it don't work like that. If it worked like that, we wouldn't have high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol. We wouldn't be dying at an alarming rate from all of these diseases. And the crazy part about it, you look at any of these stats, we're number one in most of these stats. We're number one in most of these categories, even though we only 11, 12% of the population. Numerically, it's not even possible. We shouldn't be at the number one of anything, at anything. But we are, because we do not follow what the Lord says. So again, if I love you, but I'm giving you ribs to eat, it's gonna clog up your arteries and kill you or unalive you, that's not me loving you. We eat I real put no pork, shellfish, fish, but it needs to have fins and scales if we eat it. We eat catfish, we eat shrimp, we eat lobster, we eat crab. Well, those shrimps is water roaches. That's what that is. That's a water roach. You wouldn't pick up a roach in your house and pick that up and throw it on the stove and eat that. But we'll eat shrimp, we'll eat crab, we'll eat lobster because the devil done told us that it's a delicacy. So because he told us it's a delicacy, he slapped a nice little price tag on it. We run to the store and we'll eat that all day long, eating roaches. Then we wonder why again our bodies are break down the way that they break down. We eat pork. That pig is a big rat, has one stomach, no sweat glands, so it doesn't process the food the same way that a cow does. It doesn't have multiple stomachs like a cow or cattle does. So it is meant to clean the earth. You look out in the ocean. Why you think the oceans and the water is so dirty? You can look at pictures from 30, 40, 50 years ago and just look how clear the water is. There's certain places you still can go on this earth where the water is still clear when you see it. But you look out in any of our waters and it's filthy, it's dirty. The reason why it's so filthy and it's dirty is because we eat the things that's supposed to clean the earth, that's supposed to clean the water. So because we pour the filters out of the water that was supposed to clean it and cleanse it and keep it clean, keep the cycle going, we don't pour that out and we eat that now. And so it's destroyed. What else we got? Also Mataza Akara said not voting. That's another important one. We don't understand that the Bible tells us not to vote. It says if we were going to elect anybody, it should be our kinfolk. It should be our brothers, our sisters. But we got a king. We got a king, Yahweh Shai, which is Christ. We have a king. So we shouldn't have to vote, but we put all our faith and we put our trust, just like the title of this class tonight, never trust thine enemy. We trust in our vote. We trust in our voting power. We trust the Democrats or the Republicans, depending on what side you kind of fall on socially, depending on what side you fall on. And because we trust them, one of the things I'm going to bring out tonight, because we've trusted them, we get a statue for Emmett Till instead of real justice for Emmett Till. That's what we get. And I'm gonna pull it up a little bit later on. We have enough time. That's one of the things I want to talk about tonight. But because we trust in the voting process, this is what we get. Because we trust in the voting process, we get a state board of education saying that slavery was a benefit to us. That's what we get because we trust this voting process. Because we trust this voting process, even though we are the ones that's being killed, raped, robbed, crosses burnt on our lawn. We build a community up. They drop bombs on the community, run through, unalive everybody. But Asians come in and get a hate bill on what day 1, day 2 of Biden's presidency. That's because we trust in that process and we're not supposed to. And that's, again, just a perfect example of us not keeping those laws, statutes, and commandments, not loving one another like we should. And as a result, we suffer from it. Sister Raya says tithing. That's another important one. We don't get that. We give our tithes, we give our money away to the pastors. Pastor got a house bigger than me and you both. Pastor got Pastor where Gators drive a Bentley, and he lies to you. He's a motivational speaker. That's all they are. They're motivational speakers. If you look outside and everything, if you look outside and you see reality, your reality isn't matching up with that sermon, it means somebody's lying to you. They're going in to make you feel good. But how can we feel good when we dying at an alarming rate? Just from the things that we're talking about right here, we locked up. It's 2 million of us in jail. So what's the smile about? What's to be happy about? We are still here. We're stolen property and we still here. So how is it possible for us to walk out that church where God is supposed to reside? Let them tell it. And we still feel good. We still feel happy. Everybody walking out with smiles. That's lying. That's not the truth. Your tithes should go to the Israelite School, the Universal Practical Knowledge, to the priests and officers here in this school. That's the Lord sent out to give you the truth, to tell you the truth of the Bible. The Lord sent out to, just like whenever it was the Lord's judgment was coming, he always sent the prophets out to warn the people, plead with the people, get yourself together, come back to the Lord, come back to the Lord. We will listen to any and everybody that's going to sell us a story, but we've never wanted to listen to the truth. We never wanted to follow the truth. What else we got down there? Also, Mutazar Kara says, don't celebrate holidays of the world. And that's correct. We're not supposed to celebrate holidays. We're not supposed to celebrate holidays, Christmas, which is a lot. Christmas, Valentine's Day, Easter, all of these man-made pagan rituals, pagan holidays. Most of them are sex rituals or fertility rituals, where they will run through the street, rape and rob and murder the whole nine, because that oppressor that we are underneath is a beast. He's always been a savage beast. That's who he is. He's taught us to be the exact same way. So that's his culture. That's not our culture. And like I always say, if you have children, you're fortunate enough to have children, or you're a big sister, brother, whatever, you've ever been in charge of anybody. If you have a family, the rules you set for your family are the rules you set for your family. They may go out and get in trouble with their friends. You're not going to discipline the friends. You're going to discipline your kids. Why? Because you gave them the rules. Well, it's the same thing with us in the Lord. The Lord gave us the law, statutes, and commandments. So the rest of the world, you look at the Asians eat everything. If they can catch it, they're going to eat it. They're going to eat bat, penguin, cat, rat, dog. And that's not me even trying to be offensive. That's me being honest. There's so many videos online now with the Africans who they lie and say that we are, where they got rats on sticks and they just pull them off and eat them. We don't do that. We've never done that before. You wouldn't eat no damn rat that's running around in your house, but they would. And they don't see anything wrong with it. Why they don't see anything wrong with it? Because the Lord didn't give them laws, statutes, and commandments like us. The Lord let us know what to eat, what not to eat, what to celebrate, what not to celebrate. Trooper Kazakia said, keeping the feast days. We have feast days we're supposed to keep. Israel like to party. That's not unfamiliar to us. We like to party. We got feast days that last 7 days long. We have feast days. We got holidays we were supposed to keep. One of them in particular is the Passover, to show you the type of God that we serve. Exodus 15:3 says, "The Lord is a man of war, a man of war, to show His power. He unalived Pharaoh and his men and their firstborn, and He parted that Red Sea and He rescued us, and we celebrate that to this day. That's a holiday we're supposed to celebrate. A day when we got free, when we listen and follow the Lord. That's a holiday to celebrate. That's our culture. That's our heritage. But we want to follow the heritage and culture of these people. I read put no holidays or birthdays, and that's absolutely correct. We're not supposed to celebrate holidays and not birthdays. Birthdays come straight at you. You can Google now. Birthdays come straight, and maybe one of these classes where I'll pull up for you. We'll pull up the Satanic Bible, and that's one of their main holidays is your birthday. Your birthday, that's self worship. This is the day where you get to be a god for a day. And that's what we get those birthdays from. So you can have a child that's been showing his behind, acting a fool all year long, but today is his birthday, so we're supposed to celebrate his birthday. Sister Raya said roach scampi, exactly, and that's exactly what it is. And we pick them up and we eat them because the oppressor said that we should. Also, Arashima says no zodiac signs and crystals. We put everything on the zodiac signs. I can act like this. I can do that because I'm a Leo, because I'm a this and I'm a that. I'm a Virgo. That mess doesn't apply to us. That didn't apply to us at all. We're not supposed to worship and follow those things. We're not supposed to be worshiping no crystals and worshiping the stars and all. That's worship of the stars. Why would we worship the stars as opposed to the creator that made the stars? That makes no sense. Not a Officer Rush also put not oppressing your brother financially. We, as soon as any of us get a business, the first thing we want to do is act just like our oppressor. First thing we do, how am I going to sell? How am I going to market it to other brothers, to us? We want to take advantage of each other the same way the oppressor done took advantage of us. And this is why a lot of our things are not successful. We see each other as dollar signs, just like the oppressor sees us as dollar signs. A woman to lay down with a brother and have a baby with him because he know he got a big check coming in. Not looking at his character, his morals, his standards. Is he a man of God? Do he follow the Lord? Is he going to treat me right? Is he going to treat these kids the right way? She don't care about none of that. She's looking at him for a check. Another one we got, Officer Yamash said to abortions, to unalive your children, and we're gonna touch on that a little bit tonight too. You're gonna be a little shocked and staggered, I think, by the numbers on that. You're gonna be a little shocked and staggered by the numbers on that. We're not supposed to do those things. That's their culture. That's not our culture. And again, if we just did our culture, we followed our culture, we would be able to actually love one another. We could love one another the way that we're supposed to love one another. Officer Rasha also put, don't con your brother. Don't sell him silk when it's cotton. Don't sell him polyester when it's silk. The title of this class is never trust not in anything, but it's sad. A lot of times you can't even trust your own brother because we will lie to one another. But if we knew this word, we knew those laws, statutes, and commandments, we would know that that's a law. We're not supposed to lie to one another. We're supposed to deal honestly with each other. Everything decent in order, honestly with each other, fair scales. But again, from being around this oppressor, we become just like this oppressor. We're just as conniving, as dishonest as this oppressor that's over top of us. So those are very good examples, very, very, very good examples. Again, the title of tonight's class is Never Trust Thine Enemy. So first question I want to ask is, who is our enemy? Who's our enemy? Who can tell me who our enemy is? Because a lot of us don't think that we have an enemy. A lot of us think that our enemy is Russia because that's America's enemy. A lot of us think our enemy is Iran or Iraq because that's America's enemy. A lot of us think our enemy is that brother that lived next door to you. That brother that's getting that money next door to you. That brother that he keep wearing his pants is always sag, and that's my enemy. We think that's our enemy. We don't know who our enemy is. Officer Mutaz Akara said the other nations. And that's exactly correct. Without the knowledge, without the wisdom of this Bible, you don't know that though. Trooper Kazaki said Esau, the so-called white man. That's correct. Our oppressor. That's our enemy. and it's a certain way. How can we prove that? Where can we go to find out? How do we know who our enemies are? Because it's not just what we feel, right? How do we know who our enemies are? See if we all on the same page tonight. See if we on the same page. I'm gonna get ready to pull it up because I know y'all gonna get it. Where's a good place we can go to find out who is our enemy? Who can give me a precept on who our enemies is? Let's see if we on the same. It's all throughout the Bible. All throughout the Bible is different accounts, different tales of us going to war with the other nations. So it's all through it. It's not like, again, a fairy tale that they try to teach us, kumbaya, everybody hold hands, everybody come together. From the very, very beginning, the Lord separated the nations. He separated us from them. When they came together at the Tower of Babel, he separated their behind again and confused the languages. He's always separated them. So that lie that the church tells you that it's all about coming together. It's all about us holding hands and just coming together. Let's just come together. That's not biblical. That's not the Lord, I'll say. That's never been what the Lord wanted for us. Anytime you have everybody coming together like that, somebody's going to be on the bottom. Somebody's going to be on the bottom. We don't get it. The trick, the con is on us. We are always the ones on the bottom. We always the ones on the bottom. And we don't understand it. We don't get that. We shouldn't have to. Hold on, I missed one. Off some Elijah Ma put not join yourself for harlot or watching pornography. I missed that one. I ain't want to skip over now. I ain't want to skip over now because again, we don't know what the laws is. We don't know what sin really is. We don't know that sin. You can ask a Christian what's sin, they're gonna say yelling at somebody. They're gonna say drinking alcohol. That's what they're gonna say. They're gonna say something that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Sin is transgression of the law. Those are some of the laws right there. So when you transgress those laws, that's when you sin. That's when you sin. It's not something made up. Just like love isn't something that's just made up. Everything is specific. Everything's specific. Again, what Hosea 4:6 says that my people, everything is possessive pronouns in that Bible. My people suffer from lack of knowledge. Well, we get on the job and they give you OJT. They give you on the job training at your job. You go to school 1,000 hours a doggone day, 1,000 hours a week. Yabashim Yashab Brakatah, officer shot in the building. You go to school 1,000 hours a week. So my people suffer from a lack of knowledge. The knowledge is the knowledge of this book. The knowledge is the knowledge of the law, statutes, and commandments. That's the knowledge that we suffer from. Officer Mutaz Akara said Psalm 83. That's a good one. That's a great one. Now, that's not the one I was thinking about, but that's a good one. Let's pull that one up, though. Because I wasn't thinking about that one again, and it's all throughout the Bible, but let's pull that one up. Psalm 83 is a prayer that we say here in the school. It's a prayer that we say. It's very important. It's very important that we know it. Again, if you just read this word, you would be able to know who you can identify your enemies. If you don't know who your enemy is, it's going to be very hard for you to prepare for them, to battle them, to be ready for any attacks that they're going to put on you. It was a word last night. Officer Mataz Akara was looking for was recon. My connection was a little spotty here in this room, so I couldn't respond like I wanted to, but it was recon. If you don't do recon, if you don't know your enemy, you don't know how to handle that when they attack you. Well, I'm gonna pull up right here. Again, this Bible, this is our recon. This was all our knowledge and our wisdom, so we would know to spot the trick, to spot the con. We would know to stay away from these people. But because we didn't do it, everybody takes advantage of us. Sometimes our cross says Psalm 83. Let's take a look at it real quick. Psalm 83 is a very powerful prayer that's in here, and it says 83 verse 2. Psalm 83 verse 2. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult. Who knows what a tumult is? Who can tell me what a tumult is? I'm gonna pull that up real quick as well. So while we're looking for, just for time's sake, I'm gonna go ahead and pull it up so we can see what a tumult is. Tumult is as well. Let's see. So I'm gonna stop sharing that. We're gonna share again, and let's see what a tumult is. Let's show everybody what a tumult is. All right. So tumult. Definition 1: a disorderly agitation or milling about of a crowd, usually with an uproar or confusion of voices. Yahweh Shema Lathan Ba'ashem Yahweh Shada Sister Anah. 2, hubbub. Then 3, violent agitation of mind or feelings. And that's what we're looking for right there. Violent agitation of mind or feelings. Don't you feel violent? Don't you feel agitated when you got to get up and go to work 1,000 hours a doggone week just to pay for bills, to pay for a house that you're never in because you're always at work, to take care of a family, a wife, a family, a husband with children that you never see because you always got to work to build and keep this oppressor's empire going, this greedy bastard to keep him billionaires and keep them trillionaires and to keep them wealthy. So you can't never be home with your family. You can't never enjoy your family or be there for them. You gotta feed them up, serve them up garbage to eat because you can't be there to cook for your family anymore. And it's a cycle, and that's why we have a lot of diseases and our bodies break down the way that they do. This oppressor knew exactly what he was doing. That father's not there. Even if you are fortunate enough to have a father in your life, he's always working, so he can't be there to wash the house, to raise the kids, to give them direction and guidance like he's supposed to. That's part of that tumult that they came together. Salaki. That's part of that tumult that they came together to work against us. Sister Anna says, working ourselves to death. Exactly. We work ourselves to death. It's no different from when we were on them on the plantations before. It's no different. And to be honest, it's still some of us that pick cotton and do all that mess now to this day in 2023. I have an uncle in Mississippi, and if I'm not mistaken, he still is picking cotton to this day and enjoys it. Has no problem with it. So all right, so let's go back to that Psalm 83. So now we know what a tumult is. We know what a tumult is. So I'm gonna stop that one. We're gonna bring that one back up. Let's go back to Psalms 83, and then I'm gonna have to speed up a little bit because I got a lot of good stuff. This might end up being a two-parter. Truth be told, we can have classes every night on our enemy. That's just how filthy, how greedy, how conniving, how evil, how destructive this oppressor, this beast that we are under in all the nations, really. But we could, it's one of those ones that never gets old. It never gets old because they never ever stop hating us. They never ever stop coming together with ways to get over on us, to destroy us, to take advantage of us, to unalive us. You name it, they do it, and they never stop. And when you read these scriptures, you will see it says, "For lo, thine enemies." If you didn't know who your enemies was, well, your enemies, they out there they make a tumult, and they hate thee. And they that hate thee, Salakia, have lifted up the head. See, they weren't over top of us the way that they over top of us now, but they're over top of us now. This is nothing new. Has always been. They've always hated us. They have a perpetual hatred for us. It don't matter what we do. We birth their babies. We built their empires. We run their businesses. You name it, we do it. And it will never, ever, ever, ever be enough. We made them the richest nation ever on the face of the planet. You have companies that never even touch the money that they make. They profit billions and trillions of dollars every day, some of them on hour on hour on hour. We have no idea what money and wealth is. You give some of us some trinkets and some wealth, and we lose our mind and we look down on each other for it. We don't even understand that we are the money, we are the silver and gold, we are the wealth. Verse 3, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people. Everything again is possessive pronoun. So if it's that lie, like the church and everybody's saying that we're all together in this, we all got the same enemies. Well, why does it say thy people? It says they have taken crafty counsel. That crafty counsel, that's that underhand, indirect, that strategic, systematic oppression. That's that systematic oppression. That's you standing in line and voting, and then you end up voting for a crime bill that's gonna wipe 30, 40% of your meals out in time. That crafty council. Councils, they all sat down together for this is no accident. This is no accident. It's no accident that all these other nations are allowed to come in your neighborhood and make all of that money, all of that wealth off of your back. Nations that America has quote unquote been at war with for generations, but they still can come to your neighborhood and make money off of you. Afghanis and Ukrainians came over here and got Social Security. When you have to work yourself, you have to work, and hopefully you'll get it later on. They raise the age of retirement every year. They raising it again, depending on where you are at. So that's that crafty counsel that they've taken against thy people, Israelites, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They consulted against us. This is no accident. It's no accident that we are in the position that we are in. There's no accident. This was all planned. This was all designed. Now the one that I wanted to get though, I'm gonna pull up Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy is very, very one of my favorite books. Reason being, like for me, when I first came into the truth, this was I used to call my ID bracelet. This is where I went. This is where I learned who my enemies were at first. Was in Deuteronomy. I learned who I was at first. Not only I learned my enemies, but I learned who I was as well in Deuteronomy. And specifically Deuteronomy chapter 28. Deuteronomy 28. So let's get there. We're gonna go to Deuteronomy 28 and 1. 28 and 1. I say your ID bracelet in the Bible. Everything that we need is right here in this word. Everything we need is in here. We just have to come to the Lord. We just have to be obedient. We have to be obedient and do what the Lord said. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull up Deuteronomy. We're gonna run through this a little bit so we can get to something. I want to pull up one of these enemies so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Deuteronomy 28. Deuteronomy 28 and 1 reads, and it shall come to pass. Anytime you see it in the Bible where it says it shall come to pass, it means it's gonna happen. If very important, it's conditions right there. If if you shall hearken is an old word that just means listen. And then it says hearken diligently. I mean, you want to be very careful, specific. You want to listen to everything that I'm telling you. Don't skip over anything. How they saying don't pass go and don't collect 200. You want to make sure you get everything you're supposed to get out these scriptures. Everything, all this word instruction that I'm leaving you. You want to diligently listen unto the voice of the Lord thy God. Again, there go those possessive pronouns again. Let you know this is our God. The Most High is ours, and we are His. So He says it's gonna happen if you should listen, if you should hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do. Very, very important to observe and to do. Well, you can't observe and you can't do if you don't know what you're supposed to be observing and doing. If they're lying to you about who is God, what God requires of you. God loves everybody. If you're getting these lies and you don't even know what you're not even looking at the word of God, of the Lord. You're not even looking at the word. You're not looking at the Most High. You're looking at these made up gods that they have you serving from these other nations. And then it says, and to do it again. Love is an action. We learned in the very first part of class that love was an action. Now, prior to that, you might have just been saying it. You may have thought that you were just feeling it. It was an emotion, but then we learned that it's an action. It requires action on your part, and it requires action on all parties in order for us to love one another. It says to observe and to do all His commandments, which I command thee this day. Those commandments, those laws, statutes, and commandments, they are not optional for us. We don't have an option if we're gonna serve, if we're gonna listen, or we're not gonna listen. You don't have an option. Which I command thee this day. This was Moses talking to the people. He was establishing the rules and regulations with them. We were just getting up out of Egypt. So he was letting them know, hey, saw what the Lord did for us, what the Lord will continue to do for us. But in order for that to happen, we got to do what the Lord say do. We can't follow these same other nations like we've been doing, like we continue to do until this day. That the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. Again, that's that whole kumbaya, we all in this together spirit, that is nowhere to be found in the Bible. Nowhere to be found in the Bible. It has nothing to do with God. God never, ever said that we were all going to come together. Never. Now, the church tries to lie and tell you that, well, Christ came with a new commandment. A new commandment. No, Christ did what his Father told him to do. And the Bible says in Malachi, look, God does not, the Most High does not change. This never changed. That covenant never changed. It didn't go anywhere. But again, because we didn't listen, he said, if we did listen, I want to jump ahead. If we did listen, he said, I will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. Nations is another word for nationality, races, families, all the other different families of the earth. Moab, which is Chinese, that's a family. Ammon, which is the Japanese, that's a family. We are Israel. We are one big family. Ishmael, your Ishmaelites, your Arab, that's a family. We should be above all of them. Hamites, Africans, that's a family. We're supposed to be above all those nations. We are better than those nations. Why? Because the Most High said that we were better than them. Regardless of how you may look in that mirror and feel about yourself, the Most High God said that you were better than all of them. All of them. He would set us above all nations. We're not above anybody right now. Everybody's on top of us. Why? Because we didn't do it. Let's find out why everybody's on top of us. Because he just said right here, if it should come to pass, it will happen if we listen. He'll put us above everybody. I'm gonna jump down to verse 15. Then it says, but it shall come to pass. That means it's gonna happen. It says, but hold on, it shall come to pass. It's gonna happen if thou will not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. If you won't listen, if you don't listen, this is what's gonna happen if you don't listen. To observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. We are cursed in our cities, in our neighborhoods, in our families. We are cursed. Why? Because we didn't observe and do the commandments like the Most High told us to do. It's real simple. It's a simple solution to a complex problem. It's complex and integral because it's just so many different facets of life you got to go through and how we're all connected. But it's a very, very simple solution. Listen and follow the law, statutes, and commandments. Follow law, statutes, and commandments. Otherwise, we were going to be cursed. I'm not going to hit all of them, but I want to jump down again. Let's get an example of some of these curses. Like I said, this is the ID bracelet. This is how you know who we are when you're looking at Deuteronomy 28. We're going to go down to verse 48. Thou shalt serve, because remember, the name of this class is never trust thine enemy. Let's find out this is again how you know who you are, how you know who that enemy is. Therefore, thou shalt serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee. The Lord sent our enemy against us. The oppressor isn't smarter than us. He isn't stronger than us. You can look on any football field and see who's the stronger nation. You can look at any basketball field and see who's the stronger nation, a basketball court, Slovakia, and see who's the stronger. The first computer was a black woman's mind, her brain. It's a series we have on these channels called Former of All Things, and it lists a lot of the different inventions and innovations and creations that we've came up with that you won't hear about. They're not going to teach you in school. We made everything. We made this place what it is. We civilized this place the way we did. We even taught them how to wash and take baths. For as much as they talk down on us, they look down, and we taught them how to wash their behind and take baths. They were dying from throwing feces and piss out the window from the bubonic plague that they created because they just wasn't washing. That's who's over top of us. They're not better than us. We are better than them, but we don't listen to the Lord. It says that these thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger, we got to go to them for our food. And in thirst, we pay for water. Water falls out the sky, and we got to pay for water. That's oppression. And then nakedness. We don't own any textile mills as far as the clothing and so forth. We got to go to this. We got to go to them for everything. We got to go to these other nations for everything. That's a curse. That's a curse right there in itself, to have to go to these other nations for everything. And in want of all things. Anything we want, we got to get. We got to go to them to get it. And that's again because we didn't know who our enemy were, and we followed them, and we didn't listen to the Lord and follow the law, statutes, and commandments. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck. That yoke of iron, with that they put that on our neck in slavery. So and some of them have bells on it so they can hear you if you try to run away. That this is our ID bracelet. This is how you know who we are, how you also know who the enemy is. And it says, until he have destroyed thee. We are just about destroyed in this nation. We have no sense of identity, no sense of our who we are. We have no sense of brotherhood and sisterhood, that love that we talked about when we first started this class. Reason being, we don't even know what love is. We think love is Valentine's Day. We have no idea what love is. I'm gonna jump down some more for time's sake, and we're gonna get that main one. Again, we done hit a couple of scriptures already. So if you never knew who your enemy was, now you know who your enemy is. But to put the nail in the coffin, how they say, or the staple, verse 68. All those years, it always burns me up every February. I always call February happy to be a slave month. February is happy to be a slave month. I used to love quote unquote Black history until I got older and realized what it really was. You reinforce the idea of what they taught us in slavery. We are really proud to be slaves here. We're proud to be Americans here. That title, that word, that American, that means that you are a slave here. And like I said earlier, now in the schools, they're going to teach you, well, that was a benefit. You benefit from it. I don't even think they call it slavery. And it's not even called slavery. I think it's called migration. That's right. It's the transatlantic migration now. It's not even the slave trade like how it was. This is how they're changing it up right in front of our face. That's what voting gets you. That's what voting gets you off sometimes, I cry. Verse 68, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again. Well, Moses walked us out of Egypt across that Red Sea. Egypt is a Greek word, means Egyptos, which means bondage. In the Hebrew is Mazatariam. It means bondage. It means slavery. So the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again. Now, if you weren't sure about that, again, the Bible just adds upon each other. I want to say it's Exodus 20 and 2. I want to say it's Exodus 20 and 2. Let's get that real quick. So I'm going to stop this one. Actually, no, I'm not even going to stop this. I'm just going to pull it up. Bear with me. Let's get Exodus 20 and 2 real quick so we can prove that. See if I was right. Perfect. Exodus 20 and 2. If you didn't know what Egypt was, it's going to let you, the Bible's going to tell you what Egypt is. I am the Most High thy God. He's letting you know who he is, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. So if you didn't know, now you know that Egypt is the house of bondage. Bondage means slavery. This was a house of bondage to us. So to all those commissions out there, those wannabe Egyptians out there, Book of the Dead followers, Egypt was a place of our servitude, just like America is a place of our servitude. Egypt means bondage. So now we're going to go back to where we were before. Yahweh Shem Yahshua Barakatah, the truth Shema in the building. So now we're going to go back to Deuteronomy again. Let's get back to Deuteronomy again. So Deuteronomy again, 28 and 68. Yeah, and I can see it's slowing up a little bit. So hopefully y'all can still see me and hear me all right. If not, just let me know. All right, so Deuteronomy 28 and 68. Deuteronomy 28 and 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into bondage, into slavery, into Egypt again. If you look on the back of that dollar bill, it's a pyramid on the back of it. They got obelisk. I think that's how you say it. All throughout DC and the different cities all over the country, to let you know exactly where you at. A lot of your masonry and all that follows Egyptian culture and so forth. This is Egypt all over again. America modeled itself after Egypt as far as how they worked the slaves, how they built the empire off the slaves, off the poor, how they benefited from all the inventions and ingeniousness of the slaves, but yet and still hated the slaves, and then got to a point where, oh, it's just too many of these niggas now. It's too many of these slaves now. We're going to have to do something with them now because it's too many of them. It's the same thing, same place. So again, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. We are the only people who went into slavery, mass slavery on cargo slave ships. And it wasn't just us. When Christopher Columbus first got over here, the Indians, the Mexicans, the Tainos, they were the first ones to go on those slave ships. And then they made that triangle. They came back and made that transatlantic, that voyage, and grabbed us and brought us back over here. Nobody else can say that. The fake Jewish man or the fake Jew who stole our identity, the biggest culprit of identity theft in the world, who stole our identity, who parades around and pretends like he's us. He never been on those slave ships before. Never been on slave ships before. That's us. This is our ID bracelet. This is who we are. But it gets even. It's more. But how those old commercials say, well, hold on, there's more. It says, by the way thereof I spake unto thee. We weren't going. Thou shalt see it no more again. We weren't going to get this how we getting it right now. We weren't going to get it like that again. We weren't going to see our. We weren't going to see our homeland no more. And there when we got here, ye shall be sold, just like we were sold on those auction blocks when we got here, unto your enemies. So once again, we're learning who our enemies are. There ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondman, slave man, and bondwoman, slave woman. And no man shall buy you. That word buy just means redeem, save. Nobody was going to save us when we got over here. This is another reason why voting is not going to help you. You can vote all day long. Voting's not going to help you because nobody was going to redeem us. I'm going to show you what voting gets you. A couple of things I want to get to before we get up out of here. I can already see now I'm probably going to have to, at the very least, make this a part two because it's kind of two parts to it. First part of this is kind of getting to those laws. It's going to get on like that voting, that kind of like that voting aspect because that enemy that we trust. Then I wanted to get to that other enemy that we trust as far as the reproductive thing, the abortion and so forth. Our women trust Planned Parenthood. Our men and our women, they trust the voting process. They trust this mess. Full-fledged, wholehearted, they trust it. So let's get a couple of things I wanted to share before we get out of here. First being is we're gonna start with I saw today Joe Biden, how they call Sleepy Joe. Old Sleepy Joe is erecting a monument to Emmett Till. This is again how they trick, how they fool, how they manipulate us. We think justice is a monument. We think justice is a damn statue. That's what we think justice is. We think justice is an amendment on a vote or an amendment on a law that they done made. That's what we think justice is. We think justice is reparations. Oh, we get these reparations, we're going to be all right now. They can give us billions and billions of dollars if we don't know how to love one another, how the Most High say love one another. What you think we're going to do with that money? We're going to destroy each other. It don't matter what we do, what anybody else gives up. If it's not of the Most High, if it's not ordained through the Most High, it will not be successful. Once we learn that part, we'll be all right. It's kind of like if you got a child. You can have a child, and you can tell your child, I'm going to give you $5 or whatever. You see, telling my age now, for lunch or for the week. He comes home, he got $100. He done got it from wherever. A friend gave it to him, doing something wrong, he got $100. You being a parent, he's not going to keep that $100. He might think he's going to keep that $100, but he's not going to keep that $100. So it don't matter what he does on the outside. If it doesn't come from mom and dad, if it doesn't come from the Most High, it's not going to be successful. So let's check it out. The title of the class tonight again is Never Trust Thine Enemy. Let me show you what happens when you trust your enemy. A lot of our people trusted Joe Biden. They trust in the voting process. So we're going to, and like I said today, when you look today, that's the one I want. When you look today, he's erecting a monument for Emmett Till. If you're not familiar with Emmett Till was 14 years old from Chicago, went down to the South. They lied and said that he whistled at a white lady. They hung the boy, beat the boy, shot the boy, mutilated the boy. His mother, when he came back, they got the body back. It's amazing they even got the body. When they got the body back, she decided to have an open casket. So this open casket, she wanted to show everybody what they had did to her baby. She had wanted to show everybody just how bad it was. And she showed it, and it shocked the world. They got pictures of it, and it quote unquote sparked civil rights movements and protests and all this other mess. Again, and that quieted us down, and everybody felt good now about it. Because in our minds, in our eyes, that's justice. We think That's justice. Going outside and holding hands and marching and singing, "We shall overcome." We think that's justice. That lady lied on him and said that he whistled. He never even whistled at the lady. That lady died at the ripe old age of 80 plus, almost 90 something years old. Lived her whole entire life, wealthy, famous. Oh, her people loved her. She was a hometown hero to her people. But we thought that justice was like we feel like that's justice, or we feel like this right here, what I'm about to show you right now, we feel like this is justice. This is what we trust in. So let's pull this one up. I think I want to say, which one is it now? Make sure I get the right one. Nope, that's the other one. I think it's this one. See if I got the right one. See if we got the right one. This isn't the one I want, but I want to play this for you. Hopefully, it shows all right. I'm gonna be quiet.
Off the asphalt, outside expectation. With a low roof line for easy loading and 31.4 feet of rear cargo space.
Here's a commercial right here.
The off-road ready Mazda CX-50. We're looking for outsiders.
Here we go.
All right. The law.
So President Biden is establishing a new national monument that will honor Emmett Till, who was tragically and brutally murdered in 1955, and also to uplift his mother's contribution in the American Civil Rights Movement. The three heritage sites includes Chicago's Roberts Temple Church of God in Christ, which is where Mamie Till Mobley held her son's visitation and funeral in 1955. Also, the Tallahatchie County Courthouse, which is where the murderers were set free and where his trial was held, and that's in Sumner, Mississippi. And then the third site is Graball Landing, which is the river site where his body was discovered. And it was critically important in advocating for the...
I'm gonna pause it right there. He done mentioned the church. He done mentioned these lands. Then he I think he mentioned a couple of churches. He mentioned the land. Who you think owned that land? Who you think owned that land? So that's money for them. The church already got billions and billions of dollars for us, so that's money for them as well. And if you, I hope y'all can detect or hear the pride in this nigga voice right here. He is so proud. He can't believe it. He is so happy and elated to be part of this historical time and moment. This boy is gone. He's been gone for decades now. She died and was older and lived a long, happy life. And that's the third part I wanted to point out. He also said, and this is the where the killers were set free. Notice that. Did you hear that part? They didn't go to jail. They didn't serve no time. Not for unaliving him, not for mutilating him, doing him the way they did. They didn't serve no time for it. None. But he's proud. This is justice in his eyes. This is what trusting your enemy looks like. Go ahead.
The establishment of the national monument, that we had a balance between landscapes and architecture to be able to tell a more holistic story about the Till family history and civil rights. Through preservation practice, we facilitate public awareness and education. Preservation is the pathway.
Public awareness and education. I just told you before, the State Board of Education already said that slavery was a benefit to you. Slavery was a benefit to you. So that's your public education. That's your public awareness and your education right there. Slavery was a benefit to you. This is what justice looks like. Notice they don't even show you the picture of the body like they did in the beginning. Nah, that's too graphic. That's too hardcore. I can show you drag queens in the school, gyrating, shaking, and everything else, teaching children. I can show you a mob of trans saying, "We coming for your kids, we coming for your kids," but I'm not going to show you what they did to this boy's body and they got away with it. Also, Urash Ma says that so justice equates to monuments and a story to tell. Exactly. This is what justice is now. This is what justice is. Let's go ahead and finish this one on up. Because it's another one I want to show you. This good old Joe Biden.
To ensure the permanent protection of these three historic places. But most importantly, it's to ensure that we
permanent protection of these places,
never
not
forget.
us.
When we hear the name Emmett Till and Mamie Till Mobley, the world must also remember Black Americans' fight for equality and racial justice in America. It is exceptionally important that future generations have reverence for their sacrifice and for helping us to advance social progress.
Social progress. This is us fighting for America. It was very hard. It's always difficult and hard for me to watch garbage like this. But when you in the world, this suffices as enough. When you're in the world, this is enough. You walk away feeling good. This is the garbage. This is the crap that they give you when you go to church. This is what happens when you trust your enemy. So right now, Joe Biden comes across looking like a good old hero. Notice he said this is going to protect these sites. You'll probably get more time for doing something or vandalizing one of these sites than you will for actually killing a nigga, killing one of us. One of us, that's not even a hate crime here. But you better not do anything to one of these sites. You better not hurt or vandalize one of these sites. Does that sound like justice to y'all? If that's give me a 1 if you think that's justice. If you don't think that's justice, give me a 2 if you don't think. I take that back. Salakia. A con if you think that's justice. Con means yes, and la no if you don't think that equates to justice. And while y'all putting it in, I want to pull up this other video, this other one of Sleepy Joe, because I want to show you what this justice looks like that we've gotten so accustomed to, and because we don't read that Bible, we don't go off of what that Bible tells us to go off of, because we don't listen to that. Let me close that one out so we can try to speed the computer up a little bit. We get rid of that one. I want to pull up this one right here, and I'm getting a lot of eyes coming in. So that's an awesome thing. That's an ISUPK side effect. Yeah, that's one of the side effects of being here and being around all this truth. You start to see through the BS. You start to see the tricks. You see the game that they've been playing on us for so many years. Who gives a damn about a site when they unalive us right now? Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. Sister Rai says la it sickens me the things that we accept from each other and we accept from them. If somebody in your neighborhood was to unalive or run over your car, steal your car, whatever it may be, wrong you in any kind of way, and then knocked on your door and say, hey, I did see that spot of land right there where I cut my grass there, I put a little rock right there and put your name on. You would look at them like they were absolutely crazy. It wouldn't stop no feud. But when it comes to our oppressor, he'll give you things like this, and we accept it. We accept it with a smile on our face, and we're gonna go celebrate 4th of July and pop fireworks. But let me show you some more about us trusting our enemy and what it gets us when we trust our enemy. I want to pull up. I want to pull up this because again, they changed so much in history. They are so devious and so dishonest. If you don't research these things and know them, then you almost get fooled by it. I want to show you Biden back in 93. Who's ever heard of Who's ever heard of the 93 crime bill? Who's ever heard of that before? Who reckon y'all? If you heard of that, get Khan if you've heard of that before. Khan if you've heard of the 93 crime bill, and that face you see right there, that's old Joe. That shows you just how old Joe really is. Officer Mutazah says, Khan, he's heard of it before. Yeah, he's heard of it before. Somebody on Facebook, I don't get your name. If you could put your name, city, and state in there so we know who you are. But they say Khan, they done heard of it before. Officer Urash Moff says, listen, don't sweat it. White man, when Christ return, you'll be in our museums, and you white people be nothing but a story. And that's absolutely correct. I think I'm gonna have me a couple of wax figures on the plantation somewhere, so I can show my kids and their children and say, look, that's what it used to look like. That right there, that's what it used to look like. We're gonna have we might even have one of old Joe Biden up there. Sister Raya says, Con, she's heard of it. So if everybody's heard of it, I want you to go ahead and watch. This is old Sleepy Joe. Now remember, he just gave us a good old monument for Emmett Till. Let me show you what else he gave us. Let me show you what else he gave us. And I want you to listen to what this devil says. Y'all, but you also the dog one in the building. All right, I'm gonna get to the end. I want you to see what else old Joe gave us. Because while everybody's celebrating and happy and ecstatic that we're gonna get a month
the frozen aisle.
Heights, 3 monuments for Emmett Till.
Take back the streets. It doesn't matter whether or not the person that is accosting your son or daughter or my son or daughter, my wife, your husband, my mother, your parents. It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter or not whether or not they had no background that enabled them to become socialized into the fabric of society. It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society. Mm-hmm. The end result is they're about to knock my mother on the head.
It don't matter their background. It don't matter if they come from a fatherless home because we gave money to the mothers to kick the fathers out. It don't matter if they are descendants of slavery or 500 some years of free labor and slavery and systematic oppression. None of that matters. Because when they attack your grandma and my grandma, you see how they like to loop us in and make us fit that illusion of inclusion. But I want you to pay attention to what this devil was saying, because none of that matter. And after this video, I'm gonna show you something else. I'm gonna ask you if that matters.
With a lead pipe, shoot my sister, beat up my wife, take on my sons. So I don't want to ask what made them do this. They must be taken off the street. That's number one. There's a consensus on that. Unless we do something about that cadre of young people, tens of thousands of them, born out of wedlock, without parents, without supervision, without any structure, without any conscience developed.
No parents, no supervision, because you at work all damn day long. No parents, no supervision, because you don't lock the fathers up. This is in 93, so this is after they flooded the neighborhood with crack, with cocaine. This is after the crack era. If you watch Snowfall, this is after Snowfall. This is after Franklin in the street looking crazy. This is when this takes place. So none of that matters now. None of that matters. I remember a story where a rich devil, young devil, had killed, unalive 4 people, driving drunk, high, the whole 9. Got in front of the judge. His lawyer said that, well, he's never really been told. No, he suffers from affluence. He has too much. And they let that devil off. And if I'm not mistaken, he did it again. But according to Joe, though, it don't matter what he came from. None of those things matter. Let's finish this video. Officer Urash Moff says exactly. Here's your affirmative action. This where it gets you. So while we celebrating monuments and we mad because they got rid of affirmative action, that same fool that they went out there and voted for, he said it didn't matter what your children's background was. They are predators. It don't matter. Lock them up. They must get off the street. They're gonna attack your grandmother and my grandma with a lead pipe. I don't know. Let's finish. Let's go ahead and finish. Let's finish before we run out of time.
Because they literally, I yield myself 3 more minutes. Because they literally have not been socialized. They literally have not had an opportunity. We should focus on them now. If we don't, they will, or a portion of them will, become the predators 15 years from now. And Madam President, we have predators on our streets that society has, in fact, in part because of its neglect, created. Again, it does not mean because we created them that we somehow forgive them or do not take them out of society to protect my family and yours.
He said, it doesn't matter that we created them. Joe always talk out both sides of his mouth, but it does not matter that we created them. And in law enforcement, they have a thing called entrapment. So it does matter if you create them, but it does not matter if we created them. Now we got to take them off the street. It doesn't matter that we flooded their neighborhoods with crack cocaine. We took their mothers and their fathers away from them. None of that matters. That does not matter. Now they just got to get off the street. I want you to remember everything this devil was saying, though.
From them. They are beyond the pale, many of those people. Beyond the pale. And it's a sad commentary on society. We have no choice but to take them out of society. And the truth is, we don't very well know how to rehabilitate them at that point. That's
they in this situation they're in because of systematic oppression that they push.
Rehabilitation, when it occurs, we don't understand it and notice it. And even when we notice it and we know it occurs, we don't know why. So you cannot make rehabilitation a condition.
Now, this is why the Bible calls them the devil. The devil. They are the biggest liar in the earth. Like Officer Murtaza Akara said, he acknowledges their guilt, but still says it doesn't matter. And if you keep listening, he'll say we did it on one hand, then he'll say we don't know what happened. I don't know why these crazy niggas is acting the way that they act. I don't know what happened. I have no idea. But then he'll turn right back around and say it don't matter that we created it. You can never, ever, ever trust thine enemy. We're going to get that scripture later, but you can never, ever, ever trust thine enemy. Also, Uriah Shema said, wait. Anybody hear that? Exactly. We didn't do it, but we did do it. We got to save us. It's our fault, but none of that matters. These are the people that's in charge of us, and these are the people that we put our faith and our trust in. We got about one more minute on this. We're going to watch, and I want to show you something else.
That's why in our system, there's the federal
Obviously, Uriah Shema said he stated rehabilitation is not an option. Exactly. Not an option.
I don't know how to rehabilitate. But there is a consensus, and I will cease. We must make the streets safer. I don't care why someone is a malefactor in society. I don't care why someone is antisocial. I don't care why they become a sociopath. We have an obligation to cordon them off from the rest of society, try to help them, try to change their behavior. That's why we do in this bill. We have drug treatment and we have other treatments to try to deal with it. But they are in jail, away from my mother, your husband, our
mothers addicted to crack were chained to hospital beds and forced to give labor to the baby, then they would will their behind right off the jail. But in here, he said something about rehabilitation. He says, well, we got medical treatment and so forth. They did that with the opioid crisis, but they never, ever done that when we suffer from drug addiction. It's tons of people locked up because they suffer from a drug addiction. Like Sister Raya says, talking out both sides of their neck, and that's what they do. Unfortunately, because we don't know who our enemy is, a lot of us listen to this garbage, and we can't decipher it. We believe this.
But we would be absolutely stupid as a society if we didn't recognize the condition that nurtured those folks still exist. And we must deal with that.
All right, so everybody saw that. I'm gonna stop sharing that one. I'm gonna stop sharing that one. Everybody heard that. Sound like old Joe is tough on crime, huh? Sound like I want you to remember everything that devil just got through saying. I want you to remember what that devil just got through saying. Also, Murtaza Akara says when Esau commits crime, they need to study them to see why they have mental illness. Exactly. When it's us, lock them up because it doesn't matter what happened. They do not care about us. They don't. This is the quote unquote leadership. But I want to show you just to the extent of how much they hate our guts. I want you to see just to the extent of how much. So let me close that one. I'm just trying to free it up so we get a little bit more so it speed up a little bit. It actually did pretty good on that one. But I want to show you this picture right here. If you watch the news, I don't watch too much of it. I try to watch just to prepare and do my research and so forth. And so I know when those 200 million chariots show up, I want to be able to see these devils' faces. Their reaction and their faces. So I watch it, for purposes like that. But I want to show you something else. Officer Uriah Shema says, now what do you mean by beyond the pale? I got exactly. Because I want to show you something. When it comes to beyond the pale, Officer Uriah Shema, I want to show you something. I want to see if he's consistent in what he's saying or if he's lying and lying out his doggone lying like I'm pretty sure he is. So I want to pull this up so you can take a look at this one. Now, this one, it may not even be a video. We might just scroll through it so you can see what I saw. All right, let's see if we can. Where is it at? Where is it at? Hey, what is this big stupid ad that's right here? Let's get rid of that. All right, here we go. Shocking new photos of Hunter Biden's drug-ravaged teeth. When you smoke meth and crack and all that, you lose your teeth. You lose your teeth. I want you to see. This is his son. That same one that was out there just saying that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. His son ain't got no damn teeth in his mouth because he done smoked so many rocks. That's Hunter Biden. This is what that good tax money gets you, though. See, that good tax money, they can get them good veneers, them good teeth, all them good taxes that we paying. But I want to show you a couple more. That's the same one. Now, you see, this is after he got those same crack addict, meth mouth teeth fixed of his. This is him in hotels with prostitutes. Yep. If you're familiar with the news, it was a story where they found some cocaine in the White House. I wonder who that was. I wonder who did that. But if you read down here, it says that he told CBS he used crack and alcohol heavily and barely slept after the death of his brother's brain cancer in 2015. Well, we just saw Joe back in 93 say it don't matter. It didn't matter it don't matter if your neighborhood shot up, you done lost your best friend, he died in your arm, your cousin died in your arm because it's drugs and it's guns that y'all dropped off in our neighborhood on purpose. None of that matters. None of that matters, but it matters for his son. It matters for him. You see, I spent more time on my hands and knees picking through rugs, smoking anything that even remotely resembled crack cocaine. Officer Mutaza says, hashtag method. Tell me about it. Sister Raya says, yep, it makes no sense. Sister Na said, crackhead junk. Exactly. But again, with ours, they were locking them up. They lock them up by the drove. You just heard Joe's stance on that. This is what happens when you trust your enemy. He said, I went one time for 13 days without sleeping and smoking crack and drinking vodka. What else he said? What else? At one point, Vice President Biden. So now, mind you, it says Vice President at this time. So this is when the fake black president, the Hamite, he was aware of all this as well. They let Secret Service details to go to Hunter's house to intervene at the height of his addiction. So everybody knew that he was a crackhead. Everybody knew that he was a crackhead. So while they was locking us up, while they continue to lock us up, he getting high and it's cool. He ain't just, the drugs coming from somewhere. So I mean, he's purchasing crack, cocaine, you name it. We just heard the story of cocaine being in the White House. 2 and 2, right? I think it's still getting high. That's just my personal opinion. Also, Uriah Mob said, "Oh no, I can't believe it. Not Biden, not the president, not a Democrat. I mean, me as well." Also, Uriah Mob. I'm how they say, I'm flabbergasted. I use one of Esau's words. I'm just sitting here flabbergasted. I'm appalled. I can't believe this. Oh yeah. Done smoked all the teeth out his head. This is a picture of him knocked out seat with the crack pipe in his mouth. It said Hunter Biden with what appears to be a crack pipe. Yeah, that's a crack pipe. Why? Because you can go out in our neighborhood and see them all over the all over the streets. That's a crack pipe right there. And I want to say that that's just the gist of what I wanted to show you tonight. The hypocrisy of these people. They are so low down to snatch somebody's life away for mistakes they made when they were a teenager, when they were children, when this grown adult still smoking rocks and crack and cocaine in the White House to this day. But I'll lock you up for the rest of your life for it if you do it. Officer Uriah Mob says, listen, Barack Obama got allegations going around getting head from men as a senator and as president in the White House by a white man. And I believe that 100%. I used to say it before I even got in the truth. I always joke with my rib. I got very good gate eye. I can pick up on it and I can tell. And I don't care what they say. Hamites Hamites are like that. He's a Hamite. I always thought that he was a little too feminine and Michelle was a little too masculine. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. Sister Raya says, appears. Exactly. Yeah, appears. It appears to be a crack pipe. This is what happens when you trust your enemy. Our leaders, nowhere in the world should have ever linked us up with these people and told us to trust these people. If you've been in any church long enough, when it's election season, they parade these fools around the church and tell you who to vote for. They will hold all kinds of vigils when your son done got shot and got unalived out in the neighborhood because the neighborhood is destroyed because of, like Joe said, I don't care if we caused it. They brought the drugs in. All your presidents were your biggest drug dealers in the world, not the country, in the world. They funded an entire Contra war with drugs that they were selling in our neighborhoods. So if you destroy the economy, what do you think people are going to do? You drop off truckloads of dope, truckloads of gun. It's a setup. But it's a setup that we fall for hook, line, and sinker because we do not do what the Bible tells us to do. And some of these things, again, that devil, that oppressor, he doesn't play fair. He doesn't play fair. And they are just a beast. They are a beast. But it's a scripture I want to pull out before we get out here. And like I said, I got a whole part 2 to this. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get to the part 2 in time. The whole part 2 deals with abortion. Before next week, if you get a chance, try to get a little familiar with Margaret Sanger. I want you to remember that name, Margaret Sanger. We're gonna talk about her a little bit in our next class. But the hypocrisy of these people, again, this is in the Bible. The Bible tells us this. It's a scripture I want to pull out. Zechariah 11:5. We're going to pull up Zechariah 11:5. Let's grab that real quick. Zechariah 11:5. And it reads, let me make it a little bit bigger for you. Whose possessors slay them. They slayed us in that 80s crack era. They slay us now to this day. Who they pull us over, no gun, and unalive you right there in front of your child in the back seat with your wife sitting next to you, and will tell her, do not move, stay right there by your unalived body while your child screams in the back seat after they just got through telling you that they had a legal firearm in the car. And when you reach for your license, they filled your body up with holes. They slay us to this day. They slayed entire neighborhoods, snatched the fathers out of entire neighborhoods. They were locking up mothers, locking up fathers for an addictive drug that they put in the neighborhood on purpose. On purpose. Countless stories of entrapment. They knew exactly what was going on. Joe said he didn't care. He don't care. They gonna hit my grandma. He said they're gonna hit my grandma in the head with a lead pipe. He gotta go to jail forever. That bill that he passed, that was the beginning of your 3 strikes laws. So if you had gotten in trouble before, twice before, this time, now I can throw you, I can lock you up forever, no matter what it is. But your son smoking crack to this day, ain't no telling how many offenses he would have if his daddy wasn't the vice president and then the president. If his daddy wasn't a senator back then that passed that crime bill, because you can't tell me that started when he got older, which makes me believe that when that crime bill was being wrote, your son was on crack then. But you still wrote that bill, you still locked us up. It says, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. Hunter Biden was not guilty. Joe said in his speech, we are not guilty for the things that we cause. We're not guilty. We're not guilty. And then it says, and they that sell them, the same ones that sell us, because they sell us. They sell us to this day. They sell us. They sell us. They make all kinds of wealth off of us. Those are contracts in those jails that they put you in. You could be in that jail working for NASA on a NASA contract, billions and billions of dollars of contract. You get out and now you can't work anywhere. Or you can be a Hunter Biden and you'll never got to work and you can smoke all the crack you want off the taxpayers' dollars. While your father writes a crime bill that has 3 strikes, and you are out forever. You have people that's in jail right now based off that 3-strike 93 crime bill that he wrote way back then. And Hunter been getting high since then. Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. And they that sell them say, blessed be the Lord, for I am rich. This is what your pastors think. This is what your politicians think. This is what this devil thinks. Because of my wealth, because of what I got. Oh, blessed be the Lord. Lord loves me. Unfortunately, we done been around this oppressor so long, we've adopted his same ways. And we act the same way. I got money though. You can't make this stuff up. And their own shepherds, those shepherds, that shepherd is supposed to feed the flock, watch over the flock, protect the flock. If our pastors were men of God, if they were called by God, they would say, no, that's your enemy. We voted for years and years and years, and we still ain't got nothing to show for it. They used us for everything to get stuff passed for them. They used us to benefit them. They're all in our neighborhoods now, eating off of us. No, we're going to follow the Lord, but our shepherds, because they're rich, our shepherds allow us to, well, it says that for their own shepherds, pity them not. They don't care about us. You saw when the brother was talking about the Emmett Till monument, and the church is going to be at this church. That's money for that church. Our shepherds don't care about us. That shepherd there got a check. He good. T.D. Jakes didn't care nothing about it. T.J. said, thou woman, thou art loose. Check. You got Potter houses. It's several Potter houses, if I'm not mistaken. These churches bring in millions of dollars each service. Millions of dollars a service. Creflo Dollar. Nigga got dollar in his name. Buying jets and Lamborghinis. Our shepherds, pity them not, our shepherds don't care nothing about us. They don't care about us. And again, because we don't recognize who our enemy is, we're not in a position to love one another and watch out for each other. I can't watch your back if I don't love you. And I can't love you if I'm not following these laws, statutes, and commandments the way that the Lord say follow. Let's go ahead and stop that one. Also want to bring out, again, we want to get to that main one, never trust thine enemy. And this is probably going to be the last scripture that I bring out. Everything that we need is right here in this word. And he contained in these laws, statutes, and commandments. And actually, it might be 2 more I want to bring up. Like I said, they so devious, they so devilish, they're such liars. We can spend class on class on class on class, and for it to be that much ammo against them, how could we possibly believe in these people, trust these people? We should know by now. But the truth is, this is nothing new. It's always been like this. But our leaders do a great job of helping them to pull the wool over our eyes. I want to pull up Psalms 55, Psalms 55 and 21. My rib says he put our brothers and sisters in jail, but his son gets rehab. Exactly. And again, they just found cocaine in the house and in the White House a couple weeks ago. So the rehab ain't working. The rehab ain't working. And like, it's not like for us who don't have money to send our loved ones to rehab. You We may be able to send them down to a little clinic. They give them methadone or whatever, another drug to get them hooked on. But it's not like them. When they send theirs to rehab, oh, those be places that cost $100,000 a week, $200,000 a month. Yeah. Money that you don't even you won't see in a lifetime. You'll make it in a year, but you won't see it. This is America. This is this oppressor that we are underneath. Yeah, we should be tired of this by now. When we read that in Deuteronomy, the Lord said, I will put you on high above all nations. This is why we have to be above the other nations. We can't be equal to, we can't be underneath, because when we're equal or underneath, this is what happens. So we get a 93 crime bill. That's what happens. It's so many different shows that you'll watch on television and how they just blow money. And I mean like millions and millions at a time, like it ain't nothing. The Arabs do it, the white man do it, the Chinese Moab does it. Just to put it in our face, just to rub it in our face or whatever. We ought to be tired of this by now. We really ought to be tired of it by now, but because we don't want to listen to the Lord, we want to listen to our oppressor. We don't want to trust the Lord. We want to trust the oppressor. This is what happens. I want to pull up Psalms 55 and 21. Psalms 55 and 21. Psalms 55 and 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter. When we watched that first video of him signing the thing for Emmett Till, and it sounded so good. It sounded so promising. It sounded like, look, we making progress. We shall overcome. Make you want to go find a white man and hold his hand. How good it sounded. But the words of his mouth were smoother than butter. The Bible is wrote by us. It's wrote by brothers. It's wrote by brothers. So it's wrote the way that we talk. We all know somebody that's he real slick. He real smooth in what he say. And that's the same thing it's saying right here. Their words be so smooth, smoother than butter. But war was in his heart. It don't matter how good it sounded real good. He signed it. He sprinkled a couple of Negroes in a picture behind them, and they just as happy. They showing all 32. They showing all their teeth. They skinning and grinning. They just as happy to be up there on the stage with Joe Biden. We was just so happy. We got a black president. It was Negroes all in Garfield Park in Chicago crying. And I'm not gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie. I wasn't crying, but I was happy too. I was happy too. I was in Esau's military, and I've never ever in my life been patriotic like I was when Obama became president. And the very next day, just like right after Biden got in there, he was an Asian crime bill passed. The very next day, or that next week, when Obama got in there, one of the first things he did, he bailed out the banks and bailed out the insurance companies. While Chicago was being shot up, what he give black people? Even though he's a Hamite, he's not one of us. He said, "Y'all pull your pants up." That's what he gave black people. That's what that nigga gave us. That's what he gave us, and we was happy to get it. Just like we happy to get this monument. We happy to get this Emmett Till monument. We done forgot about this 93 crime bill. We done forgot about all our nephews, our nieces, uncles, grandmas, aunties. They got locked up. They got hooked on crack. They got locked up for selling it, for using it. Was victims of crime as a result of it being in the neighborhood like it was. Crackheads was going through everybody's house. Neighborhood war zone. Most of our neighborhoods never did bounce back. That's why they're in the condition that they're in now. Think about all the families, all the homes, all the brothers and sisters that grew up without a mother and father as a result of it. But Joe said he didn't care. He didn't care. But we should have cared. And if we was reading his word, if we was following the law, statutes, and commandments like the Lord told us to, we would care, because we would actually love one another. It says the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. It don't matter how smooth they sound, how good how they got that suit on, how good they quote unquote looking. It doesn't matter. In their heart and their mind, you are always going to be their object, their desire of hate. They hate us. They will always hate us. They are at war with us. They are at war with us. I think I read, he put our brothers and sisters in jail. His son gets rehab. Okay, that's right. She put change to R. But again, it doesn't matter what they say, what they do. They are at war with us, even though we are not at war with them like we should be. If we knew that they were our enemies, we could prepare for war the right way. We will be ready for war. But we walk around here thinking that these are our friends, our loved ones. That's my president. That's my president. That's my senator. And wars in their heart. Wars in their heart. His words were softer than oil, just like it was saying. His words of his mouth smoother than butter. His words were softer than oil. Yet were they drawn swords. It was a sword drawn when he made that 93 crime. But he knew what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was doing. He also knew that they are so gullible. They so gullible. They so disconnected from their God. They don't know who they are. They too busy. They so busy trying to follow and be us. I'm gonna come back years later and they're gonna vote for me. They're gonna forget about all the people I locked up. They're gonna forget about all the bodies I got in my neighborhood. You imagine all the bodies that's underneath Joe Biden's belt. All the bodies underneath Joe Biden's belt. But well, we look at each other like we the unalivers in the neighborhood. Nah, Joe Biden. We don't got nothing on the Joe Biden. I got a comment from Vlad the Kababa. I am a black albino. Can I join the ISUPK? If you are not black, Latino, or Native Indian, no, you cannot join the ISUPK. Now, if you are of those descendants, then sure. Oh yeah, you can come on in. But if not, you can't. Real simple. Real simple. Let's go. I'm gonna get one more before we get up out of here. The oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of. He's a devil that the Bible speaks of for his crimes, his war crimes, because he's at war. He's always been at war with us. For his war crimes, fortunately for us, the Most High remembers. Fortunately for us, the Most High has told us what was going to happen to the enemies, to our enemies. All we got to do is come back and follow these laws, statutes, and commandments. Because Vlad the Kababa, if you are not black, Latino, or Native Indian, you will be on them. If you don't make it out of World War III, if you don't make it through those flames, then you're gonna be on one of those plantations. So for all the oppressors that's peeping and watching the classes, get your back strong. Get your back strong. Get your mind ready. Because just like slavery was a benefit to us, we're gonna make sure that you benefit from all the crime that you committed against blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians, God's chosen people. I want to get this last scripture before we get up out of here. Never trust thine enemy. We got an enemy in the earth, and we need to start acting like we got an enemy in the earth. The devil, the oppressor, is our enemy. Period, point blank. He's always been our enemy. He revels, he loves it, he smiles at it. War is on his heart. He knows that he's at war. When you look outside, you look outside your neighborhood, you're looking at a war-torn neighborhood. This was not an accident. You heard him in his speech. He said, I don't care if this proud devil. I don't care what the circumstances were. I don't care if we did that. If we the cause of it. Damn shame. All right. Last scripture of the night, Ecclesiasticus. Again, this is found in the Apocrypha. Part of the books that they removed and took out because this contains a lot of the historical content. It lets us know, again, you got our ID braces all throughout the Bible, but this one, this is the books that name names, how they say. This the books that let you know who's who. I remember in school learning about Alexander the Great. In the Bible and the Apocrypha, they call him Alexander the Greek. And this portion of the Apocrypha, this is where the Greek captivity is where you find the records of that inside of there. So again, Ecclesiasticus chapter 12 and verse 10, very simple. Never trust thine enemy. In no way, shape, form, under any circumstance should we trust this oppressor, this devil. This is why when they come to the camp and they go, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." Yeah, right. Well, the Bible says if you're sorry, you will get out on your knees with your face towards the ground and lick up the dust of thy feet. You will kiss the boots of the prophets. It's very easy to say that you are sorry. It's very easy to say that I love you. They have taught us that. And because they've taught us that, and because we trust them, we believe that that's what love really is. But that's not what love is. And if they really are sorry, it's actions that have to go behind that. And the Bible says, never trust thine enemy. If we just had this very, very simple, small piece, it would avoid so much bloodshed between us, between one another. If we never trusted this devil. For like as iron rusteth. Iron, once you see iron rust, you can wipe it away, you can polish it up, it can get real clean, and you be like, okay, I'm good to go. But if you leave that iron, guess what? It's gonna rust again. It's not going anywhere. It's gonna rust. This is why Esau, the devil, the oppressor, the other nations, this is why they need to be in chains. Because without those chains, just like that iron, is just going to rust all over again. When they are unchecked, when that beast is unchecked and he's able to roam free, all he does is devour, unalive, take advantage, destroy, rape, rob, murder, you name it, because he's a beast. He's the most subtle beast of the field. So he needs to be chained up just like the beast that he is. So just like iron, you got to keep polishing it. You got to maintain it. You got to work it. You got to keep going over it. It's the same thing with these people. Once them chains go on them, they're not coming off. They're not coming off. I'm gonna be like Denzel on Train today on my plantation, Lord willing. But never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. They are always gonna be wicked. The Bible says, the Lord says, what I make crooked, you can't make straight. We can try to make them out to be like us. We can try to be equal to him, that dog, that devil, that rapist, that robber, that murder. But that's less than who we are. The Lord said we better than him. The Lord said he made us better than him. If we knew that we were better than them, we wouldn't try to be equal to him. And we would know not to trust him. Verse 11. I'm going to read verse 11, then we're going to get up out of here. It said, verse 11, though he humbled himself. Oh, he humbled himself and signed a picture, or he signed a little bill. It's a law now. It's a law now. Gave you a Emmett Till monument, nice little pretty statue, a little pretty monument, and go crouching. He looks all humble and all feeble. That's old Sleepy Joe. Sleepy Joe wouldn't hurt nobody. Sleepy Joe wouldn't hurt nobody. But you see him, boy, in his younger days, he said, I don't care what they went through. I don't care what we did to him. I'm locking them up. They're not going to bust my grandma in the head with no lead pipe. But your son can smoke all the rocks and giblets he want all through the White House, and there's no problem. He can snort all the cocaine he want, all in the Oval Office, snorting cocaine. It's no problem. He don't go to jail. He don't go to jail. He doesn't pay for that. But you look down on us. You lock us up. You take our lives. Lock the fathers up so they can't be around their children. So the children is even worse. The neighborhood is even worse. You don't have anybody protecting our grandmas. Our grandmas ain't gonna be protected in our neighborhood. But you're gonna lock all our men up, our children up, our women up. So that yours that's tucked off in that damn White House, that's tucked off on some estate somewhere, that's tucked off on your yachts, on your hundreds and hundreds of acres. When we out here with nowhere to lay our head at, with your chefs, your personal chefs. And we got to eat the garbage that you put in our neighborhood from all the other nations that you allow to come in and rape and take advantage of us, even after all of that. Yet take good heed. So even though he humbled himself and he go crouching, yet take good heed. Be careful and beware of him. Keep your eye on the devil. Keep your eye on that devil. I don't care what he say. I don't care how he look. I don't care how he comes to you. You keep your eye on that devil. If you got a slave and you work around them devils, you keep your eye on that devil. You don't never trust them. You don't never allow them access to your family, to your personal wealth. You never elect them devils to be in charge of you and make rules and laws for you. When you do, they come up with the 93 crime bill. And they'll lock your child up. Your child, think about that. Your child can sell if he one of them top D boys. He probably on Biden's on Hunter Biden's cell phone. He want his contact. He'll sell it to him. He going to jail. Hunter Biden, he gonna hit them ski slopes all through the White House. He ain't gonna see no parts of no jail. And beware of him. You gotta be careful of that devil. And beware of him. It's like having if it's a dog in a neighborhood, a rabid dog in the neighborhood is already bit 10, 15, 20 people. Every time you see somebody, it bite them. You're going to be on the lookout for that dog in the neighborhood. You're going to be looking around the corner before you come outside. If it's dark outside, you might even bring a flashlight. You're going to be looking for that dog. You're going to make sure you don't be the next victim to get bit. We got to be the same way when it comes to these devils. And beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him if thou had wiped a looking glass. And thou shalt know that his wrath have not been altogether wiped away. You ever seen steam or whatever fall up on the glass and you wipe it, or you just wipe it to get clean? It's gonna get dirty again. If you're taking a shower, it's gonna steam right back up again. They will never not be who they always were. What we know in this class, what we know from being in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, we know that this is not our first time around. We know that the Bible teaches about regeneration. So those same ones that was beating our back in the day, well, those same ones are in the earth now, letting their son do cocaine all throughout the White House. There's nothing new under the sun. Ecclesiastes 1:1 says nothing new under the sun. Ain't nothing new under the sun. These are the same devils that was back then, same devils as now. And we the same dum-dums that's following behind them devils, the same ones back then, same ones following behind these devils now. Ain't it sellouts? Ain't nothing new. It's always been Clarence Thomas's. It's always been sellouts. When we come back in next week, I was gonna bring out another sellout, and I was gonna see if y'all ever heard of W.E. Du Bois. Oh, everybody loved W.E. Du Bois. This is a little foreshadowing for our class for next week. We're gonna talk about Margaret Sanger. See, all of our leaders were bad shepherds and dumb dogs. They were dogs that didn't bark to let us know it was danger right there. And it was bad shepherds. They didn't watch over the flock. They didn't feed the flock. They fed the flock garbage. They let the flock run free. They told the flock to go do whatever they wanted. And they let wolves come in and devour the flock, devour the sheep. Those are our leaders. If there are no questions in the class, I didn't ask a lot of questions tonight. We had a lot of stuff to get through. And it's always amazing to see how these devils are, how they operate, and the things that they get away with. We are so hard on each other. When it comes to each other, we are so hard on each other. We have no compassion for one another. We have no love for one another. We have no patience, no tolerance, no time for one another. But when it comes to those devils, we'll forget about things like that. So I think it's very important that we show that, we highlight that. One thing about the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, we're going to show you who your enemy is. We're going to show you who your enemy is, and we also going to show you who your brothers and your sisters are. If you are Black, Latino, or Native Indian, you are an Israelite. You are an Israelite. You are God's chosen people. You are better than every other nation that's on the face of the earth. You're better than them. If I don't have any other questions, I'm going to get to these announcements. And we're going to get ready to get up out of here. Let me find them real quick. I appreciate everybody's participation and for sticking with me tonight. Again, my connection was a little bit slow. Vlad, if you are one of us, Vlad, if you're still in there, again, put your city and state in there. If you are one of us, come on into the fold. And if not, you can go kick rocks. I got the strongest feeling that you're a devil and you not. So if that's the case, you kick rocks with no shoes on then. All right, we're going to get to these announcements. Let's get to these announcements. Where they at? 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 Where are they at? Got them in here somewhere. Oh, I know where they're at. I put them somewhere different. That's my fault. Salakia. All right. So announcements. We are the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohana. Rules for new brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or a sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother and the sister will court each other. And after this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, tithes is a commandment. We talked about that earlier. You find that in Numbers chapter 18, verses 21, and in Malachi chapter 3, verses 8 through 10. Tithes means tenth in the Hebrew, ma'ashara. 10% of every penny of any increase the Most High gives you. It goes to the Treasury Department or the teacher. We do have a priest fund. Priest fund is a free will offering for the priest. It's not mandatory. It's whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming holy convocations, like we talked also about our laws. We have feast days, high holy days that we're supposed to celebrate. The next one coming up is going to be September 15th, which is the Feast of Tabernacles. The Feast of Tabernacles, they're having that over in the UK. If I had the bread, I would have had my ticket all ready to go over there, but I think that's going to be a glorious, glorious event. It's going to be in a castle. We used to run all of that. We were in rulership to a certain degree over there. Europe is named, if I'm not mistaken, after a black princess, Europa. But on September 15th, that's going to be our Feast of Tabernacles. That's the 15th day of the 7th month. You can find that in Leviticus 23, chapter 23, verses 34 through 44. That's going to be Friday, September 29th, through Saturday, October 7th. All right. And I always mess this last part up. Okay, yeah, because we don't have a bulletin board. But all throughout, if you're connected with us on Facebook, we all I think we have the Midwest cookout, Midwest Fire Week cookout is coming up this weekend. I think it starts, if I'm not mistaken, in a couple of days it's gonna start. So it sounds like it's gonna be an awesome time down there in Chicago. So if you are in the area, if you're around, by all means get to the cookout. If you are Black, Latino, Native Indian, meet your family, meet your brothers, meet your sisters, learn what real brotherhood and sisterhood looks like. If you've never seen it before, it's an amazing thing to actually see us around each other when we are acting and loving each other the way the Lord said do. It's an amazing. If you've never been around us, you've never seen it before ever. I guarantee it. Did I say it wrong? I may have said it wrong. Hold on, make sure. I think I did say it wrong. The actual next high holy day is actually the blowing of the trumpets. I did say that wrong, incorrectly. I'm sorry. Salakia for that. Yep. It's Friday, September 15th. It's blowing of the trumpet. So yeah, I jumped. Whole month I done jumped up. So Salakia. It's Friday, September Friday the 15th. In September, it says 2023. Salakia. All right. The water to Officer Matazar Karai always got my back. See, that's that brotherhood I was talking about. That's that real brotherhood right there. Out in the world, they let you look crazy. They don't say nothing to you. Again, and then last thing, if a brother desires to be a trooper, if you want to be a trooper in the school, start wearing all black boots, shirts, pants, headband, scarf, war scarf. Getting your all black coming class, and hey, most I'll be with you. With that, We are Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. The water for everybody for coming in. Yahweh Ba'ashim, Yahweh Shah Barakatah to the brothers. Yahweh Shema Lathan Ba'ashim, Yahweh Shah to the sisters. Shalom, Israel. Good night.